This is a wonderful terracotta which dates to around 350 BC and is of Artemis, but also another deity, because this is Artemis Bendis. Bendis was actually a Thracian goddess, and she was associated with the moon and the hun, and these are both elements which were linked to Artemis. So you can see why the two were sort of paired together. And this was a feature of Greek worship. Sometimes other gods from other cultures, as it were paired up or linked in some way to Greek ones due to the fact that they shared similar attributes or associations. Bendis came to be really quite a thing in Athens, and this starts around the 440s BC. And by the end of the 5th century BC, she had a sanctuary, and she even had a festival. And this festival included a procession of Thracians, and also a procession of Greeks or Athenians, a nighttime festival, all nighttime party basically, and a horse riding event in which you'd have a sort of relay between horses and torches. You can only hope that the riders hadn't had too much wine. Now, this sort of importing of a foreign cult, as it were, was actually quite common in ancient Greece. And there are two arguments as to why Bendis was brought into Athens, or why she became so popular. Because by 429 BC, we know that there was a sort of formal cult there. And we also know this cult even loaned Athens money, so it was quite substantial. And as I said, there are two general arguments given. The first is that by this point in time, Athens was fighting in the Peloponnesian War, and it had vested interests in keeping good relations with Thrace. It had armies there, it had men there, it had relationships there. It also had Thracians in Athens, so it was a way of kind of appeasing them and perhaps keeping people on side. And the second relates to something more immediate, and this was the Great Plague of Athens. And it's thought that perhaps her cult was a way of somehow negating this or appeasing the gods in some way. Of course, these are just two arguments. There may be other reasons as to why Bendis became so popular at Athens, or at least that her cult caught on. But what it is very good is demonstrating how porous and flexible Greek culture could be. You could have what was essentially a foreign cult import a deity and attach it to a local one or a more recognisable one. Though at the same time, I should say that Bendis was worshipped in her own right. It wasn't just Artemis Bendis. There was an understanding that Bendis was her own deity in some form. Anyway, I find all this kind of stuff fascinating. If you've got any comments, leave them below, click follow, you know the rest.